darkness, I found my light. With Jesus by my side, I conquer every fight. Walking in faith, I won't be afraid. His love surrounds me, my fears will fade. Hope is my anchor, love is my guide. With Jesus I'll overcome, I'll never hide. A warrior of strength, in His name I rise. In a world of chaos, His love never dies.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, owner of GodlyGranny.com, and podcast host, sharing the truth with you. This is The Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, everyone. So glad that you're back with us. I guess that's a good thing I'm back. I've been out. Those of you that don't know, I ended up having an allergic reaction, a very, very, very bad allergic reaction. And so I have missed you guys for the last, I don't know, almost 2 weeks now. I'm doing much better. Not completely healed, but much better. And so glad to be back. And we got Mark Taylor with us today. He's here today as well. We got all different kinds of things we're going to be covering today. Can you only imagine? I've had 2 weeks at home, and so I've got so much to cover. I want to give you an update though for tomorrow. We've got a big show planned for tomorrow as well, and so I'm going to be covering 11 incredible God stories, but I'm also going to be sharing some behind the scenes things that have been going on even during the break. I want to share with you like just some things you wouldn't know. And I want to share with you some things our government is doing, and also different entities that pose as I don't know, as good entities that I'm not saying they're bad, but there's a whole lot more to the political side of the way they run things. And I'm going to share with you some of it because you're all going to be surprised. I'm just going to tell you, you're going to be shocked tomorrow when I tell you some of the things that has happened that I've been dealing with. And so I want you to be very aware of. Also, we're working on like a master list of brands that, you know, are food brands and different kinds of brands like toothpaste and personal care items that have been sold out, or they sold out, kind of sold you and your family, your loved ones out to all different kinds of big corporations. We're going to be sharing a list on that too. We're working on that. And then also a master list of different places that you can go to get kind of like a senior discount and what they consider to be a senior. Some places it's 50, some is 55, some 60. And so these are national chains that, you know, if you go there and you want to know about who possibly offers a senior discount, we're working on that for you as well. 99.9% of the time, you would never know that they have a discount available for you and that you would qualify for it. You have to ask. And so we're going to have that for you. We're working on that and should have both of those hopefully tomorrow. And then I'm going to ask for you to look through those. And if you know of anything to add, then we'll look into it and add more. So that way we have as good of a master list as possible for you. So that way you can go to michellemooreshow.com and download them and be able to have those. Okay. So excited about Mark being here today. We've got a lot to cover. So let's go on ahead and bring him in and let's get started on today's show. Hi, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had to take a little time off, but I'm doing pretty good other than that.
Yeah, I know it takes time too. You know, I have a friend who was an only child and he lost his mother, had lost his father years before. And I was shocked. This was a few years ago. And I was shocked at all of the crazy that they put him through with the state of Tennessee and probate and all this. They had to get an attorney. Right. And I'm like, you're an only child. You got one cousin. That's it. Like no other family. And right. I was shocked at what all they put him through. And so I know with your father passing that you and your sister have had your hands full. And so, of course, our condolences. And I know that many of the Michelle family have been praying for you during this time. So we just say welcome back and glad you're doing well.
Well, thank you. And I want to thank everyone for their prayers out there as well. It's not been easy, you know, as well as I do being a real estate broker when you're dealing with red tape and bureaucracy, having to shut accounts down, insurance, banks. I mean, the incompetency is just through the roof right now. There's nothing easy about when you lose someone and then having to shut everything down, sell everything, this, that, and the other. And so, you know, this is the stuff we're going to talk about today that was supposed to be getting changed, but is not. And so
Yeah.
we shouldn't have to live like this. This has been one of the most stressful times. You know, I've lost 2 friends in the meantime in the last probably 3 weeks on top of all that. So it's like, you know, we've got this death rate going through the roof. And we've got all of these things happening. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. I'm just telling people, you know, there's certain things right now that you need to set up. You know, a will doesn't cut it anymore. You know what I mean? In today's time, it's going to go to probate if it's in a will. At least here in Florida, anyway. I don't know about anywhere else. And I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just telling you what happened with us. My
Yeah.
dad signed a ladybird deed instead because he fought me and my sister, didn't want to put it in a trust. So now we're going to have to pay capital gains taxes on our inheritance that my mom and dad paid for their entire life. These are the things that should be getting changed right now, but aren't getting changed, that we voted for and aren't happening right now. So we got to pay capital gains tax on that. You go to a corporation like, let's just say a cell phone provider or a bank, and the cell phone provider says, well, you have to turn the cell phone in and we're going to charge you X amount of dollars per month. And my sister's like, well, good luck because he's dead because you're not going to get it. These corporate people don't care anymore. It's like we're having so many death events now. There's no sympathy. There's no empathy. There's nothing involved right now. One provider wanted to say, well, we're going to send you, it's going to take 15 to 20 days to send you a box to send his satellite thing back or remote back or whatever it is. And it's like, nobody lives here. It's like, so luckily we get it back to them. But the point is that it's almost, and I love my country, don't get me wrong, but it's almost less stressful to live in a third world country where there's no red tape and bureaucracy that the politicians and the bureaucrats have created in this country. It is designed to keep you going in a loop and to wear you down to the point that you don't want to fight anymore. You lose hope and you lose the will to fight. And that's what happens when you lose a loved one as well. At the very time you shouldn't be dealing with that mess, you're having to deal with it. And that's what the politicians have basically created in this country that we were supposed to be taking apart, and when we're not doing it.
You know, I am reminded that when Donald Trump ran for president the first time, he really talked quite a bit about the inheritance taxes and sounded like he was going to do something about it. And that's what you're saying is there's a lot that, you know, was supposed to be handled and none of it's been handled in that way. And that's definitely one of the things. I was actually just talking about that recently to some friends about it, going, whatever happened to that? Like that was supposed to be handled and it's not handled. And so, and I know you and I have discussed it as well.
Well, and one more thing real quick before we move on is I want to tell people this because for your own general knowledge here, what we went through. Now, look, I went to the bank. I could sign my dad's checks on his bank account. He only had a checking account. I was 99.9% sure he did. I just went into the bank because I can sign his checks. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, I'm just curious. I want to make sure he didn't have anything on the side, you know what I mean, that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And he says, I said, look, my dad have a savings account? And he looked at me, Michelle, and he says, I can't tell you that. And I'm like, excuse me? He says, I can't tell you that. If your dad had $1 million sitting in a savings account right now, I could not tell you because you're not the beneficiary. He says, in order to find out that information or even get that money back, you have to go to court and get a court order in order to me to tell you that. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. He said, no. He said, most people come in here think that they're the beneficiary on a checking account, but they're not the beneficiary on the rest of the accounts, that they have access to that money. You do not. So make sure, folks, that if you are the beneficiary on one account, make sure that either you or someone else is the beneficiary on all the accounts, because if they're not, you're going to have to go to court to get that money or to even find out if they have it, because the banks will keep it.
It's insane.
That's the stuff that should be getting changed.
Peeble Weeble says, I love that little name, Peeble Weeble. I understand. Lost my dad, then my mom 8 months later, still in court. Goodness gracious. I'm so sorry to hear about that. Yeah.
This should not be happening.
Yeah. New Hampshire Mama says, Mark, so good to see that you're doing well. Darla Ann 888 says, so sorry to hear about your dad, Mark. Hugs and prayers. Grammy says, welcome back, Michelle and Mark. Glad you both took time to take care of yourselves. You know, Grammy, I got to say, a couple of days ago, I realized that I feel rested better than I have in, I don't even know how long, but it just kind of snuck up on me and I feel rested. I don't know. I hope I look rested. I feel it. Okay. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm eager. You know, I love that you live in Florida because that way I get to hear what's going on in Florida. So as a Floridian, What
Right.
is going on with all the politics and everything? There's a lot of politicians I want to work through. The first one
Yep.
is Byron Donalds and all
Oh
of
my
his
goodness.
stuff, and then and then also how he relates to Fishback. Tell us all that stuff.
Okay, so this is where every Floridian you talk to right now is extremely angry with President Trump and with Susie Wiles because they have chosen Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds is not who he says he is. He is Andrew Gillum and Obama 2.0 dressed in a Republican suit. So you look at his background. He was an ex-drug dealer. He preyed on kids selling dope. He's been hammered for, I think, bank fraud. He's messed around with his wife. He is. It's all the list is an arm's length long. And why in the world would Susie Wiles or Trump put his endorsement not once, not twice, but like almost 4 to 5 times? Yeah, here it is, right here. He's missed over 150 votes, bank fraud, cheated on his wife, charter school fraud, drugs, intimidation. We saw there's a video out there of him intimidating a woman who had a lawsuit on him, and that was not just a couple of months ago that was released. And Larry Wilcox, associate, hurricane no-show. He was nowhere to be found when hurricanes hit. He's bought by True Leave. Who is True Leave? True Leave is the marijuana people here in Florida that we voted down on Amendment 3 on the last election. As Susie Wiles sits on the board of that, guys. This is who Susie Wiles wants in place. So they're literally trying to install this man. They're cheating is what they're doing. Zero legislative achievement. He's been in for 10 years. He's not accomplished not one thing, Michelle, in 10 years. Not one. He's bought by trial lawyers. He's all talk, zero results. Don't Byron my Florida. There's all kinds of stuff out there. Is this who you want in charge when the next hurricane hits? Absolutely not. This guy was part of the first
one. I'm on the first one, Mark. When you've missed over 150 votes, you're not voting, and you're supposed to be representing the people. And I got an issue with that. People can't show up to do their job that you were elected to do. You're dead to me.
No. So this guy is a New York drug dealing street thug is all he is. And he's been pushed by Fox News. The boomers are buying into it. The Floridians are extremely angry. It's like, and now I have to go back to, okay, this is probably the worst endorsement in Trump's political career is this guy right here. Literally. Why would you push this guy? Because from what I'm seeing, this is a land grab. But they're taking an entire state all at once. Because this guy wants to put 5 to 7 data centers in here. He wants to bring 7 million people in here, which we don't have room for, by the way. You people have heard me talk about how bad the traffic is here. We don't have the water to support those data centers because we don't have the water to support the people we have here now because the way the aquifer runs in Florida, we're running low on water now as it is. So now you're going to pile in data centers. You're going to pile in 7 million more people. Byron wants to make this the financial capital of the United States. Look, these aren't Byron's ideas, guys. This guy's not that smart. This guy's low IQ, like Trump would say. So why would Trump even endorse this guy to begin with? It's because they want to install a puppet who they can pull the strings and tell him what to do through Susie Wiles and through President Trump. This is a land grab, an entire state at a time right now is what this is. This has got to be the worst endorsement of his political career. And don't hand me this garbage from people. I know I'm going to get nasty comments. Oh, he's putting him front and center to expose this guy. So let me get this straight. You're going to put this guy front and center and literally undo everything DeSantis has done. DeSantis has been a halfway decent governor. He's not perfect by any means, but he's also not been too bad. But they're going to undo everything he's done by installing this guy. You're going to wreck an entire state just so you can come in here and expose somebody? Not buying it, guys. This one endorsement, Michelle, and this sets the stage for the rest of the show, so be prepared, folks, of what God's been showing me with Trump right now. It's not good. Is like the fact that this shows you where he's at character-wise, what road he is on and what path he is following right now by this endorsement right now, by listening to the likes of that witch, Susie Wiles, I'm going to call her out as it because that's what it is, listening to her and endorsing this guy. Who vetted this guy? Honestly, and they've pumped almost $100 million into this guy's campaign. Literally, he's getting Fox News interviews over and over. Trump has endorsed him literally like 4 or 5 times. They know he's in trouble because Fishback has even showed up to his. That was the other thing. He refuses to debate. Who refuses to debate in the primary? I tell you who refuses to debate. Someone who has a lot to hide and someone who's been ordered to by Susie not to debate. Who's ever heard of that? But yet the Florida GOP and all these polls that are coming out right now are saying he's in at 100% right now. He's going to get it at 100%, which tells me that the GOP is no different than the Democrats. They're going to literally cheat this election in Florida to install this guy.
So they've already called it, saying that Fishback hasn't got a chance, and this is going to be
Some polls
violence.
are. Some polls are. Some polls are actually showing Fishback ahead. Now, Fishback showed up and has been calling him out at his conferences with a bullhorn. Now, I know it's a little unorthodox to some people, but you know what? I like that. I like the fact that somebody's got the guts to show up and literally call somebody out for not literally debating or any of these things. He actually told Byron, go back home. We don't want you. Don't New York or Florida. Literally. So
okay, so we got a viewer that's asking, how do we get Wiles out? I thought she was like diagnosed with cancer, and I thought she was going to be out. What's going on? What have I missed?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know what's happening with her. You know, he just got rid of Carolyn Levitt. So there's a bunch of people jumping ship here. We've lost a lot of people here. I can't wait for Cash Patel to hit the road. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So, but you have to look at this like, what direction are we going in as a country? What direction is the presidency going in right now? Who is he listening to? He's listening to the wrong people. We've been saying this for a long time. I've got it in prophetic words here, that the enemy sits right at his table. Literally, they have his ear. They've captured his ear. People like Susie Wiles have captured him. You have a political gatekeeper. You have a spiritual gatekeeper, which is Paula White. We're going to go over some spiritual things with the White House and some things here as we go along.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, okay. So, but going back, how do we get her out? I'm surprised she's not already gone. I thought she was leaving.
I'm not so sure Trump will ever get rid of her, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe he will, maybe he won't, but I got news for you. Either he gets rid of her or God's going to remove her. I think at this point, because I still believe that God's going to use Trump in some capacity here to straighten some things out, but there's going to be a large price to pay for the Trump family.
Okay. The second one that I want to ask you about is I'm a big Matt the Welder fan. Now his name is okay, great. Yep. Yay. Matt Taylor is his name. I just saw a video recently. Actually, we have it for everybody today. It's about the name change amendment. Take a listen to all of this. This is insane.
This isn't the official story. This is the backdoor deal that made it happen. I may have to navigate the 3 Ds of politics after this video. Sample ballots came out and my name's on them. They tried to keep me off the ballot back in April. This is the story of the backdoor deal that made that happen. Kathy Mears is the assistant commissioner for the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. She also pulls up as a registered lobbyist for the Florida Department of Agriculture. A well-known Tallahassee insider sent my campaign these messages. The first says that Wilton's chief of staff, Kathy Mears, reached out to Don Gates to add the name change amendment into the Florida SAVE Act. Don Gates didn't want to do it, so he sent it to Aaron Grail, who ultimately added the amendment in February, 1 month after I changed my name. The next messages my campaign received said Democrats now working with Wilton to keep Matt off the ballot with an immediate effective date. My campaign sent back, Democrats are helping Wilton? They said yes, specifically Representative Allison Taunt. Allison Taunt sponsored HB 91. It was signed into law the same day as the Florida SAVE Act. She made this Facebook post after the governor signed her bill into law. She even went ahead and mentioned the name change amendment in this post. Wilton was present when these two bills were signed into law. Look at how happy Wilton looks that these two bills were signed. Now compare that clap to 2 weeks after I announced I hired an attorney and was planning on fighting the name change amendment added to these two bills. Doesn't look as happy. Kind of looks like something's weighing on his mind. 1 week after video footage caught Wilton's unhappy clap, the Florida Department of State issued a directive saying anybody who has changed their name 365 days before an election may qualify and be on your ballots, but under their previous legal name. That's why I'll be Matt Taylor on your ballot. They did, however, allow the nickname Batman for one candidate. They wouldn't allow the Welder for me. These text messages are 100% authentic. If any of the folks listed here try to sue me for defamation, I'm willing to navigate the 3 Ds of politics: discovery, deposition, and denial. I'm running for ag commissioner in 2026. The Tallahassee machine continues to try to stop me because they know when I get to Tallahassee, I'm going to dismantle it. Visit treadback.com to see how you can help us save Florida. I'm Matt the Welder, a.k.a. Matt Taylor. God bless America, and I really miss Lane Frost.
Okay, so he says a lot there. I think there's a lot of, even DeSantis looks like he could be potentially involved in some things that are stacking the cards in
Yeah.
Wilton Simpson's favor against Matt the welder, who we just watched.
Right.
So it looks like there is definitely some good old boys club there working together to keep Matt out.
Well, you've got the White House who has their pick. So
Yep.
it goes back to like with Byron Donalds. It's rolling downhill now for whatever position that there is. It's like Ashley Moody. Nobody wants this lady in there. I voted against her. Get her out. So, I mean, all of these rhinos, if you will, who are in here, were wanting out of here. And for some unknown reason, the White House is pushing the rhinos. And so people, I'm tired of the excuse from people who keep giving me that, oh, well, he's just exposing people, putting them front and center. That time is come and gone. People are tired. They're sick and tired of this. They want their country back. They want their state back. They want the corruption to stop. But unfortunately, let me get this straight now, Michelle. We're going into primaries. We're already in primaries. I just voted. We're in primaries right now with a corrupt electoral process that has not been fixed. It should have been fixed in Trump's first term. He didn't do it. So now we're having to vote in a corrupt electoral process and go into the generals, still not fixed with the corrupt electoral process. Something tells me he'll fix it right at the last minute, so he'll make himself look like the hero. And so when we go into this, we're going to be stuck with whatever the corrupt process in the primaries gave us, like a Byron Donalds. Now I'm not going to have a choice. You know what I mean? Byron Donalds will never get my vote. You see what I'm saying?
And by the way, for those who don't know, Wilton Simpson is the current ag commissioner down in Florida.
Yep.
And he's the one that Matt the welder was talking about in the video. So Wilton Simpson is who has been endorsed by President Trump. So not only did President Trump endorse Byron Donalds, but he's also endorsed Wilton Simpson. So there's that. Okay, so very interesting information.
And no Floridians are happy with this right now. I can tell you that right now. Everybody you talk, except for maybe the villages, okay, which they don't even count as far as I'm concerned, because most of those people from up north, 90% of them anyway. But the point is, that no true Floridian is happy about this Byron Donalds thing or about the White House stepping in and trying to push their agenda on Florida. Here we go again. It's almost like saying Trump the other day was talking about AI data centers. You're going to get them whether you like it or not. That's what he said. That doesn't sound like the will of the people to me, guys.
And that doesn't sound like the Trump that we elected.
Voted for. No.
And voted for.
I'm going to prove what's going on there as we go along. I'll prove that. God's going to prove it, not me.
Fishback, I want to back something up. So Fishback is the guy that we were talking about a few minutes ago, just in case anybody's having a hard time keeping up. He was the one that's running against Byron Donalds, the one that had the image on the screen. So Cindy Jenkins was on our show. She's been on twice now. She's the one who was Taylor's mom. Taylor was the young lady who was 25 years old, was not married, and had no minor children. She had no children. Taylor was at a red light. She was rear-ended. And long story short, Cindy unpacks on the show all of the crazy that ensued at the hospital: malpractice, incompetency, neglect. I mean, we could go on. But anyways, and so after Taylor ends up passing away, the inevitable happened because of all the insanity that she says it really was because of all of the negligence and everything with the and incompetency with the hospital. So she starts calling law firms, and the law firms she noticed kept asking her the same three questions. How old was Taylor? When they heard she was 25, they said, was Taylor married? No. Okay, did Taylor have any minor children? No. And so finally, after a few law firms of speaking with them, noticing that they kept turning her down, saying, we can't help you. I'm sorry, but we can't help you. And so she was noticing the trend of always getting the same three questions. So she finally asked a law firm, what's going on here? Why are you asking me the same questions that the other law firms that I've spoken with have asked me, and then turn around and say, sorry, we'd love to help you, but we can't help you. And so that's when she finds out about the Florida kill law. Okay. It's a free kill law that's in Florida. Many don't know. Before the show today, I was telling Mark about it. Mark was like, wait a minute, what's it called? So the reason why I'm bringing it up is because she's been on, the mom, Cindy Jenkins, has been on Facebook and other social media platforms, and she has also posted a pledge that Fishback has signed and reached out to her, apologized, and, of course, gave his condolences for Taylor's passing. Taylor's been gone now for a couple of years, but he has signed a pledge that he would repeal the kill law in Florida, and it would be completely clean. It would be a clean free kill law repeal. And so, in doing away with it and everything. And so she's posted that, but I wanted everybody to know that Fishback has even done that, which is very interesting. And so just thank you, producer Ron. We got such a great producer. And so, okay. So just wanted to let you all know. And of course, he's running against Byron Donalds.
Yep. And Fishback is the only politician that signed a contract and had it notarized stating that if he defaults on any of his campaign promises, he cannot run for governor the next term. What other politician in this country has even come close to that? None.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so, and I think it's awesome what he's done with Cindy, and she's really working hard against the establishment. And by the way, even when she was on, DeSantis worked against her and against all that. So he was no good with any of that help. Okay, so what about Pam Bondi? What is going on with her? And, she's out of office. She's from Florida. When she was in office, she was pretty much worthless. She didn't follow through on anything that we thought she was going to follow through on. Do you think maybe she's kind of like an RFK Jr., where a lot of people are saying right now that they thought RFK really would have done what he wanted to do, but that maybe he was harnessed and kind of said, okay, you've been put on a leash. You can't do anything.
Right. I think it's the same thing. I think that's why they forced Greg Bovino out, because he was wanting to get rid of the illegals. You just go right down the line. For some unknown reason, stuff's not getting done. Now, are there some things happening behind the scenes? Yeah, there's some things happening behind the scenes that are good. It's one of these things where we do one good thing, but then we got 15 bad things going on, and it just negates everything that whatever ground we just took. You know what I mean? It sets us back light years. So as far as Pam Bondi goes, I had, me, I was no Pam Bondi fan. She got nothing done. Mark Wayne Mullins is probably worse than her, honestly. At least we had some illegals being removed under her. Not many, but we had some. This guy's not doing anything. We got people coming in versus going out, which is not good.
Well, I just wonder if there's a chance. I don't know. She's got some backstory, though, and connections that are also intertwining with Susie Wiles. So we'll just let that be.
Yep.
I will say and remind people that when I was at Mar-a-Lago, she was there and she was at those events. And so, she's connected with all of that. So who knows what's really going on.
You got too many women in positions around Trump right now that have his ear that don't need to be there in positions of authority. There's spiritual wickedness in high places. And I'm going to go over that here in a little bit. And so when you have the president's ear like that, he is captured spiritually right now. And that's what I want people to understand. And I'm going to prove that here in a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Liz says over on YouTube, this just happened to my mom in an emergency. I left to get clothes and her rotator can't come back. And they sedated and strapped my 86-year-old mom in a bed. Never again. I will take her to the ER. It was horrible. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are having horrible testimonials about what's been going on in the hospital really since 2020. I mean, why do you think they wouldn't let loved ones in there?
My dad was hallucinating on on the morphine they put him on, and they took him to the ER. They strapped him to a bed for 8 hours, urinated 3 times, and left him laying in it. Now, this is Shands Hospital in Gainesville. It's supposed to be one of the #1 hospitals in the country. No, folks, you want to die, go to a hospital right now. This is how bad this is right now. This is the kind of stuff that needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Okay, so I know today you wanted to talk about President Trump's poll numbers and what's really going on with that.
Yep.
Share with us. Oh, I want to back up. Wait a minute, producer Ron. I want to back up. While we're still talking about politics and all of that, let's talk about crime numbers. So we've got the Wisconsin Fair. This just happened yesterday. And so it's a state fair. Let's see the video. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. You end up seeing that
Does this really look like crime is down, guys? I mean, I could go video after video after video on social media. What's going on? Look, these teen takeovers is nothing new. I dealt with this almost you deal with this on a nightly basis in a big city ghetto. Okay, when I worked the ghettos, I mean, I'd be working on somebody that's been stabbed in the chest and working a code on them, basically CPR on them, with all this going on around you. This is nothing new, guys. The only thing new about this is that now what's happening is they're now doing this in white areas, which is by design. They're trying to create a race war. I warned about this civil war that's on our doorstep right now, coming to America because Trump has waited too long. I warned about this 5 years ago. I've been screaming from the rooftops, act now before this happens. So this stuff right here is nothing new. This goes on a nightly basis in these ghettos, but it's just now crossing over into the white areas. So that's what's happening right here, right now. Now, Trump came out the other day and he was bragging. This is where I believe his administration is leading him astray because they throw these numbers out at him on a piece of paper. He goes out in front of the cameras and he makes himself look absolutely horrid. Horrid, because it looks like he's gaslighting the American people or deceiving or lying to the American people when he says that, hey, crime is down to all the way where it was back to 1900. Guys, you can't even drive down the street right now or go to a grocery store or go eat pizza like I did the other night and have a confrontation with somebody. This is a lie from the pits of hell. This is a PR stunt. His poll numbers are in the tank. They're saying now he could be worse than Jimmy Carter as far as the poll numbers are concerned. And then you got Kash Patel, who everybody knows how I feel about this guy. He comes out and says the murder rate's down to 125% since they took office. Really? You guys went in there. You couldn't catch a murderer or a terrorist if you bit you in the hind end. I know this guy. He's an attorney. He's a loudmouth, arrogant attorney. He's got no law enforcement experience, but yet he heads up one of the highest level law enforcement agencies in the country. So the point is that they're out here gaslighting and deceiving the American people into thinking, hey, this is safe. It's not safe. This is the worst we've been in American history. It's no different than the illegals, which we'll get into here in a minute.
Well, Terry Blueberry says, if Fauci doesn't end up in prison after all of this, I will never have an ounce of faith in anyone in our government. They're all already on thin ice.
Yeah, see, this is where America's about to take matters into their own hands. They've already got Dearborn. We're going to go over that here in a minute. But the point is, people are sick and tired of being told, hey, we're in the golden age. We're in the greatest time in American history, but yet the housing market is the worst in American history right now. Nobody can pay for food. He's talking about, he was mocking Americans about the $4 a gallon gas. It's $5.50 for diesel here, $4 a gallon for regular gas here in Florida. Nothing's coming down right now. Look, I understand we got to deal with Iran. I get that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with dealing with Venezuela. That stuff needs to be done. But our own backyard is burning right now. You see it right there on the screen. That's just one example. And you got to remember, I want to go back to the fire department. Like I told you guys, 99.9% of the stuff that we ran on, you never heard about. You only see 0.1% that makes the headlines. That right there, what you saw, is only 0.1% of what you're seeing actually taking place on the streets. Trump does not know. He's lived a billionaire lifestyle his entire life. He does not know what goes on in the lower and middle class. He's never worked the streets a day in his life. And I'm not trying to slam the guy, but I'm sure if you talk to him, he's going to say, I know the lower middle class better than anybody else, like he always says with everything. The point is, he's out of complete touch with the American people right now. He's trying to force stuff on people like Byron Donalds or the AI centers. The other day, he talked about the AI centers, saying how dumb people were. Dumb communities are the ones that don't want the AI centers. The smart communities want them because it makes a lot of money. Not everything's about money, guys. People want their lifestyle. They want to live out in the country. They don't want to hear the noise and the dirt and the filth that goes on in these cities.
Well, who's it making money for? It's not making money.
Exactly. It's not making money for me.
No,
it's not making money for me.
And the people that live in those towns that have to deal with the noise, the water issues, all different kinds of stuff. I mean, they're trying to, and they make a bunch of promises. It's come out over and over, different communities in different states who have given all these tax breaks and thinking that it's going to be a bunch of jobs and all that. And guess what? It's not a bunch of jobs. It's like 30 to 50 jobs at the most. And it's millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of tax breaks for literally tens of thousands, for tens of years, like 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So at least. And so you know, and quite frankly, we don't really have an explanation from anybody, a good one and that's solid as to why we suddenly need these data centers. You know
Right.
why we're getting data centers? Because I personally think it's to hold all the data that they're going to need from the flock cameras
It's
and all of
surveillance.
that.
They're creating a
It's
surveillance
yeah,
state is what this is,
and
guys. Look,
so then I think it's New World Order,
well,
personally.
look, and look, I'll go back to the vaccines. I don't know where you want to go next here. But what they're trying to do.
Poll numbers, but well,
Yeah. So
no,
the poll numbers.
so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
So
before we go
the
to
poll.
that, I do
Yeah.
want to say though, remember though, okay, I don't understand where all this, like what we're talking about with the Wisconsin State Fair and all the crime. I
Mhm.
saw where there's a guy that is claiming that in the last week or two that there have been 5 lynchings throughout the United States. Now, I immediately smelled skunk. I
Well,
want to know. I want to. Nobody's been caught.
where's the
Okay,
proof?
so I smell skunk.
Yeah.
And is this a setup? If it has happened, I want to know. I'm not saying that these people weren't lynched. I don't know the details. But what he's saying, this particular gentleman was saying a blanket statement about, now you know why I can't stand whites. I hate whites. Well, okay, those are
Well,
very dangerous blanket
right.
statements. Okay, and I gotta say, I think I smell skunk. I don't think I smell skunk. I do smell skunk when it comes to Jake Lang, who was a J6er. And y'all do not know this. This goes back to the behind the scenes stuff that I tell you things go on. But I had numerous people reaching out to me while he was in the Popo in the prison. And he was starting a network, and they wanted me on his network. They want me on his show, wanted him on my show. He never was on the show, but I have documented proof that people were trying to. And how are you in prison starting a business? Like, so I stayed away from all the J6 stuff. I think a lot of that doesn't add up, and I smell skunk. I think a lot of this is people who pose to be conservative, but I think that they are like the fake light. They're not on
Right.
our side. And I think that it's it's the summer. When did we have the George Floyd stuff happen, Mark? It's summertime, right before an election. What do you think's fixing to happen? They're trying to
Right.
stir up, like you said, race wars, and Lord only
Right.
knows what else.
Right. So as far as the poll numbers go, I don't feel sorry for Trump. I really don't at this point, because look, he's the only one that could turn this around. He can do a 180 right now, declare the Insurrection Act, take over the election process, start getting these illegals out of here. He can do all of that right now legally. He can do it all right now, and for some reason, he's not doing it. So, what is that
Well,
reason?
let's look at these poll numbers.
Yeah.
Let's look at this. So Trump's approval rating is now in the negative in 47 states. Do you have the article where you were reading some of that information, how much things have gone down? Handy?
I don't know. I'd have to go back here and look.
Oh,
real
okay.
quick.
So I think this is interesting. This is just August the 16th. So we're talking about in that today. So yesterday. So, okay. So Mark, this is concerning because we're fixing to have midterms.
Right. Okay. Here was to go with that. There was a guy who, and I'm not into Grok, okay, but he even asked Grok, and the national polling averages is true, and he says Trump's approval rating is 37 to 39% range as of mid-August 2026, with disapproval around 58 to 60%, net roughly minus 20. Recent government economist polls show lower than individual readings near 33%. Figures vary by pollster and sample. So he's hurting in the polls right now, guys, and I don't feel sorry for him, because look, his pride and his arrogance, as much as I love the president and I voted for all of this, his pride and his arrogance is going to be his downfall. And this is what's going to be getting him in trouble. He's giving the perception that he does not care. And it's like, so, I mean, it is what it is. Only he's the one that can turn this around.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the flock cameras for a minute. We've got a few videos on this. The first one is accused by flock. Let's take a look at this, and then I want to point something out here. Let's look at it. Producer Ron might be. He says he can't. He's having problems. Okay. So he's having technical difficulties. Okay, so let me tell you, we've got a couple of videos. We'll see if he can do those in a minute. But what I was going to share is I'm very concerned about people being pulled over and detained for an hour or more, because that's happening a lot. And so it's interesting because it's happening way more and more than we would have thought or we could have imagined. But I see this as a very dangerous situation. People are getting pulled over and the police are all hyped up thinking they got somebody that's done whatever crime, and, you know, only to find out that it's the license plate reader, the flock cameras, misread it. And this is crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's a surveillance state. I think you can activate it now.
Yep. Let's look at it.
Okay.
Returning a package at the Kohl's near his Plymouth home.
Hello, sir. Can you come out to me, please? Sure.
Joel Fetter.
Is it just you and the wife?
And his wife.
Both of us? Both of us.
Were suddenly surrounded.
I was parked here. There was a car here, so I couldn't just drive away.
Even a week and a half later, he still can't believe it.
And I legitimately looked at my wife and I was like, I wasn't even speeding. Like, there's nothing I did wrong.
That certainly didn't stop things from getting tense.
Are you armed at all? No. No? Okay, is this your car?
It's complicated. Can I explain it?
Joel is director of content and product at thedrive.com, meaning the Land Rover he was driving wasn't his, but he was test driving it for work.
I have paperwork that I can show you that I drive this for the week.
Okay.
It's owned by Jaguar Land Rover. If you run the plates, it's owned by Jaguar Land Rover. They own it.
Little did he know Plymouth police had already run them.
The reason you have 4 cops here is because your license plate is registered as stolen license plates in our system.
Are you serious? 15 years doing this job. I've never had this. This is insane.
That's because the plates were flagged by an emerging surveillance network of flock cameras. And not just before this stop.
Hit on our license plate readers the other day, too.
Are you serious? Cameras that read my license plate now twice in the last couple of days. And it picked up and flagged it for the cops. You guys been searching for this car. Unreal.
And it turns out the issue at the heart of the stop really wasn't real. Plymouth police released him after more than an hour, telling us today, quote, when the license plate was reported as stolen in California, it was improperly entered in the National Crime Information Center database with incomplete numbers.
Manufacturer plate for New Jersey has 2 big numbers, 2 little numbers, and 3 big letters, okay? 3410 DTM was my plate, but what got flagged was 34 DTM.
In a statement from Flock, the company wrote, we take incidents like this seriously and are looking closely at what happened. Flock's system is highly accurate and situations like this are rare. That said, an alert should be one part of an investigation, not the whole basis for a stop.
I think the issue is that a human error got amplified because this technology doesn't have enough guardrails in place. The police officers that day told me there were 4 plates, including mine, in the state of Minnesota, that were hitting on 34 DTM on flock cameras. 4. Range Rover told me there's about 15 Range Rovers in the nationwide fleet that had some combination of 34XX DTM. They had to freeze the whole fleet until this whole got figured out. Because other people can get pulled over, might not ended the same.
This is the craziest story.
Okay, so this goes back to what I was saying. This is a perfect example of where it looks very dangerous, potentially. I'm just waiting for that story to happen because it just seems like this is only the logical next thing to come from all of this. All right, let's look at the next one. So we have another flock camera video where it's a flock homicide. Let's take a look at what this is.
Police with guns drawn pull over a car they say was flagged by flock cameras in connection to a homicide out of Milwaukee. Well, turns out this was all some sort of mishap with the flock camera systems. In fact, Brookville police say they called Milwaukee police and MPD said they no longer needed the car or the people inside, so officers let them go. But you know, this has really become a point of contention, flock cameras as a whole, as more reports of misuse by law enforcement across the country arise.
Okay, so that's another thing. I want to address this. So Janine is saying, hi, Michelle family. I usually watch the show on Rumble, and today for the first time, I was silenced in the chat after I mentioned something about DeSantis being a Democrat posing as a Republican. Why? Producer Ron, I doubt Producer Ron silenced you, but I'll find out. He'll comment here in a second. Can you get the monitors to reconnect me, please? I never say anything crude or inappropriate. So we're going to address this right now. Producer Ron says, no, it wasn't him. And he's the only one that can monitor. I don't even delete people or block people or whatever. I tell Ron if I see something because I don't even know how to do it. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe you need to reboot, but we aren't doing anything like that. And we don't have other monitors. It's a 2-man show, Producer Ron and me. And so don't know what's going on there, sweetie, but it's not us. So I want to get to the bottom of that right here, right now, because this is being said over on YouTube. Okay, so Anne is asking Mark, isn't there a Q drop that says near extinction and scare event necessary? Do you just forget about these?
No, look, here's the other thing too. Q has been wrong on very rare, but he was wrong on one thing. And that was one post I'm going to bring up where he said no civil unrest, no civil war. And I'll say him. We don't know who it is, they, whatever. Well, we all know when Biden got in office, America was burned to the ground, especially with George Floyd riots. All right. So that's already out. Okay. So we know that. And I don't trust right now. I'm not saying I don't trust Q. I pray that there is a plan in place, guy, and that Q is in fact legit. I still believe it is in place. I still believe that it was legit, not the QAnon part, just the Q part. So, but the point is this, is that they've got to start acting now. If we don't, we're going to end up, we're on the doorstep of a civil war. They're trying to stir a civil war right now. And again, Trump can only go by what his admin tell him, which I believe most of his admin are corrupt and they're leading him down the wrong path, feeding him the wrong information. Look, you can't make an informed decision if you don't have the right information. And so, and Trump likes to act like he knows everything is the problem that you're dealing with as well. And he doesn't. He doesn't know what goes on in the street. He doesn't know the mood of the street. That's what kept me alive in situations like what you saw in that video right there, is knowing the mood of the street, knowing when someone was fixing to throw a punch, knowing when someone was fixing to pull a weapon. That's what kept me and my guys alive. And I'm telling you, we're on the doorstep of a civil war the likes this country has never seen, and Trump's going to wish to God he'd have stepped in a whole lot sooner if he doesn't act.
Well, you've been warning about that for months.
5 years. 5 years I've been warning. God said that. 5 years.
Producer Ron, so Jeannie is also Pierre's mom, one, I'm sure. So just so you know, yeah, Pierre's mom, we would never not want you in the chat. So we don't, but we only have so much control. So if it's something on your end, we don't know, but we didn't do it. Okay, so just want to make sure you know. Deanna says, just chiming in, SCOTUS again shot down Trump's $5 million judgment on the E. Jean Carroll case. Yeah, that's a crazy one. Okay, so very interesting. All right,
did they, or was it God? See, here's the other problem that we're going to go into here as soon as we get to this part, is that God is stepping in and is literally trying to humble this man, because his pride and arrogance are going to be his downfall. If he doesn't turn, his kids have already got issues, and we'll go into that here in a little bit again. But I'm just telling you, God is stepping in and stopping some things with him and purposely doing this to humble him.
Well, the way I read this, it says shot down Trump's $5 million judgment on the E. Jean Carroll case. I don't know really what's going on, an update on that. So is he trying to get money from her, or is she still trying to get money?
Know. I don't know, honestly, but the point is he's hitting roadblocks everywhere he goes right now, and he's being made to look incredibly bad on the news with the Patriots right now.
Okay, so
this is part of the humbling process.
All right, I read this as something that went in his favor. Deanna, can you please clarify, honey? So we'll see if that user is able to clarify what exactly that means, what she meant by her comment. Because I'm reading it as it's a good thing toward him. So let's see. I could be wrong. I'm not up to date on the latest stuff with all of that. It's just such a show with that it just, who would believe all that she was claiming anyways? All right. So the Flock apology tour, we're still on the Flock cameras. We got 2 more videos. We want to cover this because there's a lot to be said about all of this that's going on. Let's look at this one.
Flock CEO Garrett Langley just released a video to hopefully make people trust Flock surveillance cameras.
I'm here to announce a handful of changes at Flock.
But here's the real reason why he had to make this video. He's going on an apology tour because the people forced him to. We don't care about your improvements. You lied. You claimed it was just a license plate reader, but it wasn't. You called organizations that don't want these cameras in their neighborhoods terrorists.
It's terroristic organizations. like DFlock.
And where does the data go?
And on the question of who owns this data, let me be absolutely clear. Our customers own it.
You mean your partners like the government and Palantir to help build a surveillance state and a social credit score system like China? Yeah, we know. And to the people that work for them, please understand, you're responsible for building the dystopian Orwellian future that will enslave you and your children. Is that what you want? Nobody wants Flock or Axon or any other technology that claims to keep us safe, because we now know that when they say safe, they really mean control.
All right, let's see the next one. There's one final Flock video.
That's a Flock camera, and this right here is a deer hunting trail camera, and they got a whole lot of similarities. They both get put out, they're both motion activated, they're both tracking a target, they're identifying a potential target and looking at all the movement patterns that target has, and they also happen to be videoing you without the consent of the person being tracked. And that's a lot of things they got in common, but I also noticed there's one big difference between the two of them. This camera is put out so that you can hunt, track, and kill one specific target with ease. But for some reason, that camera, identical to this one, they tell us is for our own safety. You wouldn't tell a deer that this is for their own safety. Those are not constitutional because they're tracking you and your every single movement without even thinking about your consent, because they want to make sure that you're staying in line. And what's rather odd about these cameras over here is that they put them out in the middle of nowhere, like this road where there's not that many people. Now, if you do like me, you sneak up behind it if you need to get close to it for any particular reason, because the camera is facing the other way and it can't see me right now. That's very important. Another bit of an odd thing about these particular cameras is that for some reason, the people who created them don't put them in their own neighborhood. That's a little bit of an odd thing to do if you're trying to protect the public, right? These right here are unconstitutional. They're dangerous and we need to get rid of them. It's time to block the Flock.
Okay, so if they're supposed to make us safer, someone find out if they had any of those at the Wisconsin State Fair, and if so, ask them how'd that work out for them.
That's a good one, Mark. That's a good one. You know, it's always in our best interest and it's always for safety. And, you know, we don't understand. We're too ignorant to know. I tell you what is fixing to happen. I'm going to tell you, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already, but just my little Southern self fixing to happen. I just heard myself. But here's what I think is getting ready to happen. I was telling producer Ron about it this morning. I am anticipating that within the next few weeks, the more that we hold the line, we're going to be painted as though we are selfish for wanting privacy. What are you trying to hide? You're being selfish. The police, this helps the police. This helps everybody. You know, I listened to that police chief who went off and said, I've worked for 20 years and blah, blah, blah. And maybe I need to do a background check on all those that are speaking up and speaking out against it. That doesn't sound good.
Who created that atmosphere? Who created that atmosphere? The president of the United States did with his pride and arrogance. And I'll tell you why. It's because now when you speak up against the president, the Anons start calling you low IQ, or you're a panicking, or you're a black pillar, or this, that, and the other. That's what they're going to call us today as we go through this stuff. See, this is the stuff that he has created. So now when you try to hold him accountable, say, hey, Mr. President, what about the illegals or this, that, and the other? You know, you're a horrible person. You shouldn't be here right now. Who are you? You're fake news. You're CNN. Or it goes down that road. That's who's created this type of mentality that we were taught by Q to question everything, were we not? So now all of a sudden we flip switches when we do question it. Now we're a black pillar, we're low IQ, or whatever the case may be. Whatever he has created an atmosphere of distrust with the people because the people don't trust him. Now these people in leadership now have that same mentality. Like, you question me, now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to surveil you, or I'm going to look into you, because why would you be questioning me?
Well, he also threatened. He also threatened and said, well, the next time, I forget the exact examples were, like, the next time your car's stolen or the next time you need, good luck with that. It was like, oh, wait a minute. So now if he doesn't get his Flock cameras, he's what does this mean? Like, I think he's disqualified himself at this point and needs to just go on ahead and retire. Okay. So Pierce Bomb 1 makes a good point, which, by the way, is now back on Rumble. And it turns out she just needed to reboot that. We were right. Okay, so because see how it looks like we kicking someone out or what, we didn't do that, and so it's just sometimes Rumble will get people that will say, "Why are you lagging?" or "What happened?" or "What's the connectivity issues?" It's not us; it's your internet, not ours. And so it's just a common thing with Rumble. And so anyway, sometimes you just got to reboot your device and everything will be fine. So glad you're back, Pierre's mom one. So she says, yes, just as they said, we were selfish for not getting the shot. Excellent point. Excellent point. Thank you, Pierre's mom one. Excellent point. Yes. And KK says, which is Kim K, whatever this is my little nickname for Kim, says, right. And we were selfish not to get vaxxed. There you go. So we got two of them on there. We got smart viewers. The Michelle family smart. Kim says our government officials are the ones who should be tracked, right? I've been seeing those videos. They're public servants and we are the private citizens. But again, if we hold tight to our rights and talk about the Constitution, well, then they try to make it out like we're nuts, we don't understand, we're crazy, whatever, and they need to do a background check on us. What are your thoughts about all this, Mark? You got anything you want to add?
I think it all goes together with what the system that they're trying to take down one demonic system and replace it with another, quite honestly. So when you look at the vaccines, when you look at the stuff that Trump has been pushing, it doesn't make him look good. When you look at the vaccine, what was the vaccine designed to do? It was designed to dumb you down and to kill you off so that they could have less people as a depopulation agenda, is what that was. People don't have any common sense. Dr. Naomi Wolf just came out and said, the common sense of people who have taken the shot now, it's gone. Your common sense is gone. It's damaging the brain, basically, at this point. This is why you see erratic driving. This is why you're seeing car crashes through the roof, all these different things. Now, why did they give you the vax? Because where is it that you hear from God from? It's the prefrontal cortex of your brain is where you hear God from, right? So what does that shot do? It damages and blocks that, guys, so that you can't hear from God. What is the next step? The next step is the AI data centers. The AI data centers hook you to AI. What are they pushing? 5G that Trump bragged that he accelerated. Now he's bragging he's accelerating 6G. What does 6G do? It hooks you literally to the AI system so that now you cannot hear the voice of, not only can you not hear the voice of God, you're now going to hear the voice of AI. That's what this is all about. This is how they control society. This is how they're going to control you. And the problem is the president's a part of this. And I don't even know if he even realizes it at this point, quite honestly. But the vax dumbs you down, no common sense. You can't hear from God because it messes with the prefrontal cortex. And now when they hook you to AI, which is why they want the brain chips, but apparently you don't even need a brain chip now because the 6G is going to activate the nanotech inside your body. So you're going to be hearing the demonic side of things.
Yeah. Okay, so Nicholas Holscher has come out, though, and he has said that plans are underway to have the FDA withdraw it's a disastrous mRNA flu shot approval. Remember, that was all over the place a week or two ago. Okay, so he says they will not be able to defend the damning data that is about to drop. So, okay, so y'all hear this. This is actually some great news, but the motivator is because they know the jig is up. So let's stay tuned to that. Let's see what ends up happening. But just a heads up, he posted that about 7 hours ago. All right. Delivery Mom says, hi, Mark and Michelle. I'm worried about the incident that's supposed to take place in Dearborn, Michigan on the 18th. Okay. That's what we were talking about. She goes, is going to set off the sleeper cells. Do you have any thoughts on that? Okay. I was talking about Jake Lang. That is that event, Delivery Mom. And so I just didn't say the specifics with that. I was assuming that everybody knew that was Jake Lang that's really kind of leading all that. And he was a J6er in prison and all the behind the scenes stuff. So I smell skunk. And I think that a lot of this, there's something up with this. I don't know what it is, but I say he's trouble. And he was trouble with J6. He's going to be more trouble. That's my opinion. What do you think, Mark?
My opinion is this. I don't even know who the guy is. Don't even care. The point is you got about 1 million bikers descending on Dearborn right now, and something's going to break out at some point. And this is what I've been warning about for years. I've been warning about this. And I'm telling people right now, make sure that you have your family protected, your house protected. Don't go places right now that you don't need to be going publicly, like the state fair. That's not a good place to go right now, guys, because Trump has zero control over America on American soil right now. None. We have a lawless society. He sits there and claims that crime's down to 1900 levels. Forget it. Anybody who with an ounce of common sense can see that we don't have that right now. This is the most unstable this country has been since 1776. And can you imagine this? We went to war over 3% T-tax. Look at the stuff. Look at the stuff that we're tolerating right now. That we are tolerating. That the White House itself and Trump is pushing. The 5G, the AI, the 6G, and we're tolerating this. Look, Trump is getting his butt handed to him in the comments all over social media because people are angry with him right now because of this. It's like we're being forced. The system's being forced on us that we don't want. We didn't vote for this. We voted to get this stuff out of here. So, and he's not doing it. But the point is that you can't sit here and let stuff like this in Dearborn go on like this. I'm 50-50 on whether he's even going to get rid of the Muslims out of this country because it would affect his Nobel Peace Prize right now because he's so focused on the Middle East right now. That's why America's burning right now, unfortunately. Look, I'm not saying we don't have to deal with that stuff over there because we do. Iran needed to be dealt with, so did Venezuela. A lot of other places need to be dealt with. But the point is we should have dealt with the home front first, and then we could have gone after those places.
Okay. Let's look at KM Sunshine. She goes, I'm concerned about Texas. We have data centers possibly going up in Westlake that is 30 minutes away from me. Also, McKinney, Texas is recalling politicians who voted for the mosques. Well, I wouldn't be concerned about that. That's great news. That's what you need. You need politicians being recalled who voted in favor of the mosque. So that's awesome. You know, yes, when you heard President Trump, Mark, talk about, you know, you're getting the data centers, whether you want them or not. Right. When that comment was made, did he try to educate and explain why and what other than that it makes a lot of money? Because that's
money.
Well, that's not going to work because we're not, the everyday person's not making money. Give me a break.
No, well, and money's not everything to everybody. Okay.
That's right.
And like, I like my way of life here. I like it peace and quiet. I like things clean, clean lifestyle, whatever. I don't want that stuff in my backyard. So, you know, I really don't care if it calls me low IQ. I really don't care if it calls me a dumb community like he called everybody. And that's, see, this is the part that's getting him in trouble right now. This is why his poll numbers have tanked. And see, again, guys, if you want Trump to do something and act on your behalf, you're going to have to light up the phone lines, light up the emails, light up social media. You're going to have to light him up. Unfortunately, you're going to have to light up the White House, guys. You've got to speak. You've got to act. Faith without works is dead. You can't sit here and say, I'm going to pray for the president, and that's it. You've got to do something. You have to act, okay? Because he's a numbers guy. He literally, I can't remember what it was now. He was on the other day, and he literally said, well, I saw the poll numbers, you know, this, that, and the other, so I know I'm here. He's a numbers guy. He was on another interview, and he was stating that it was just like, a week ago, he said, and it floored me when he said it. He said, because the guy asked him, he says, are you not, something to do with, you know, the people are angry with you. Your own base is angry with you. And he literally said, he looked at the camera and he said, they're not angry with me. They're angry with the GOP. And I'm like, you are so out of touch right now with what's going on. It's not even funny. And here's the other part that bothers me. If you watch his body language now, it's different from the first term, is that when he's in an interview and he's about to say something that maybe not quite be truthful, maybe a little bit skewed or whatever, he looks at the camera and it's like, okay, yeah, I know what I'm saying is not correct. Or this, that, and the other. And it's like, that bothers me.
Okay.
That bothers me.
Interesting. All right, that's interesting. Okay, Callie Means, for those that don't know, he's an advisor. He's a senior advisor to the Trump health policies. We've heard, for those of you that watch the Michelle Moore Show regularly, you've heard Steve Jarvis and me talk about him as well, and Steve's interactions with Callie Means. Let's take a look at a recent interview and what's come out.
So what happened today, grass reform, is widely regarded by the left and right as the most important food regulatory effort of the past 30 years. This is what everyone has been clamoring for. We got it done today. The real issue here is that the FDA commissioner, as we sit here today, does not know what's in our food. Most Americans, most moms would assume that the ingredients in our food have been subjected to safety studies. That is not true. For the past 40 years, the food industry has taken advantage of a loophole where they can generally recognize a food as safe, grass. And 95% of food ingredients now in our food supply have been self-identified as safe with no safety studies. Once you designate that loophole, you do not have to submit the ingredient or safety studies to the FDA. And that loophole use has led to the FDA not knowing what's in our food. It could be 2,000 ingredients, it could be 10,000. We don't know. There is not safety study in our food. So what this does today is it mandates that the food industry for new ingredients, radical concept, needs to notify the FDA, and the FDA will now be able to conduct safety studies on that food. Additionally, for the ingredients in our food supply, and we have 10,000 more ingredients than Europe in our food supply.
What he's saying is true. The problem is it's just been allowed to go on. I mean, it's insane what's been going on. And so, by the way, I have been, even as I've learned more and more, like for an example, I was at the grocery store last week, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but when it comes to pasta, I happen to have had a number of friends that have gone to Italy recently in the last couple of years, and they talk about the food tasting different and all that. Well, when you go to the grocery store, turns out, they have some pasta that's directly from Italy. The other thing too is I was talking with Eve, she's part of my team with Godly Granny, and she was saying that, there is a symbol, and she and I were talking about this. I just learned about it last week, and she and I were talking that, there's the U, the letter U that's in a circle. Mark, do you know what I'm talking about? Is on some of the food. So it means kosher. I never knew what it meant. And so it's an indicator that it's a cleaner food. And so just heads up on that as well. But, even though I'm not kosher, at least it's, it's something that, that food has kind of been prepared and stored in different ways that maybe is a little bit cleaner and better. So anyways, it's just crazy. Okay. So, and of course, the things we eat, we see all the time, Mark, that there's really no reason for it. You'll see an ingredient deck sometimes online, and it shows an ingredient deck for the United States for the exact same product, the same exact food. And it has a different ingredient deck that is shorter and cleaner for other countries. And Mark, I know you don't know this. I've said this on the show before, but when I first started Godly Granny, I was asked, are you going to have different ingredients for the United States? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And this got brought up. It's a thing. Yeah. And I said, absolutely not. We're not playing any funny business with this. And so it is more stringent outside of the United States. And so I was like, if it's good enough for people in another country, it's definitely going to be good enough for here. We're not doing that. Like, absolutely not. I thought they'd lost their minds. And so, but that goes to show you how it is a practice that is widely done. And we're seeing it on the internet in the last couple of years, even widely. So talking about our food, let's take a look at this lady who says she got some meat at the grocery store. Y'all take a look at this. You got to be aware.
On here to have proof of what I am currently experiencing with this steak. I've never had this happen with this brand, but now I'm like grossed out and wondering if I should return all of this. Went to Kroger, got some Simple Truth organic grass-fed tenderloin. I got 3 tenderloins and then a couple top sirloins. These ones, like these two and these two look okay. I took this tenderloin out of the package. Right off the bat, it's like kind of like a weird color. And the meat looks weird. And it's literally like Play-Doh. I'm not making this up. This is, how am I stretching the meat right now? It's literally, I just flattened a fillet. It's giving lab-grown meat. This was $18.99 for one, just so you know. Let me pick up another one and see if it does anything weird like that. You can flatten it, but like, that this one still feels like meat, like it still holds that rounded shape. I'm so grossed out by this. I've never seen something like this, you guys. I'm returning this. And I don't know if I want to eat any of the other ones. Like, what in the world? Simple Truth, what is going on?
It's disgusting.
This is the stuff that we haven't fixed. They're poisoning the air that we breathe, the water we drink, and the food that we eat. None of this has been fixed because we're too worried about the Middle East right now. We're too worried about other things going on all over the place. America First is pretty much dead in the water. And can he turn this around? Yes, he can turn this around. But it's the people around him who have led him astray down this wrong path, basically, that he's listening to.
Okay. It's crazy. All right. I want to show you a video, and this is going to kind of move us into a different direction. This video is Charlie Kirk. He was speaking, obviously, this was before his death, but he's talking about Islam. And what he's really talking about, I think here, if I'm not mistaken, he never says the term anchor babies. But let's take a listen to what he says about Islam.
But let's just take a pause. If our biggest city is about to fall to an Islamic mayor, we should take a step back 24 years after 9/11. And we should ask ourselves the question, why did we send all of these hundreds of thousands of young men and women to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan just to have that ideology come to the biggest city in the United States of America, New York City? From the top down, understand that this parasitic ideology is about conquering without ever having to fire a shot. It is not done with tanks or mortar shells or with drones. It is conquering via maternity wards. It's conquering in the delivery room. Mass production of new babies that are brought in via mass immigration. And you might say, oh, Charlie, you're exaggerating. The mayor of Minneapolis is about to be a Muslim. So you're about to have Minneapolis and you're about to have New York City. Do you think Ilhan Omar has assimilated the United States of America, or Rashida Tlaib, or Zohran Mamdani? Again, if we are part of the United States of America, we should care about when our biggest city is about to fall to this kind of ideology. And Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. Islam is at odds with all the freedoms that we enjoy.
It's true.
Right.
Okay, so I know that you've got a couple of things that you want to share, and I'm going to turn it over to you a little bit on this. I want to say what he's really talking about is conquering America. And so I had written a note in my show prep. I had written down a note to ask you a question, and that it just came to me at the time I was doing my show prep before you came on. And it was, had you heard any updates about what's going on with illegal immigrants being shipped out? Because you remember, we were hearing Tom Homan all the time, and we were hearing all kinds of updates and seeing all kinds of video footage and, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, we're not hearing anything anymore. And so share what you'd like to share on that.
So the illegal immigration thing, I got to apologize. I kept saying there was 50 million illegals in this country. We don't have 50 million illegals in this country, guys. We have 100 million. Greg Bovino, who was the head of the Border Patrol, has come out and been doing podcasts since I believe they got rid of him. I think they forced him out because he wanted mass getting them out of here, mass deportations. Trump has put the block on this thing for whatever reason. The Trump administration has, because he said, even Trump stood up there in an interview and he said, you guys got to lighten up on this a little bit. No, we're not lightening up on this. We want these people out of here, all of them. Now you've got this guy who's a sorry excuse for Department of Homeland Security here. And after deporting 400,000 illegal immigrants in his first year, the Trump administration pushed the tally to 3 million by claiming that 2.2 million illegals, I guess, self-deported or whatever. But the point is that Greg Bovino is calling all of this out. He's saying the interior of America is in shambles right now because they're not getting rid of what they're saying. And now they're trying to cover the numbers up. Mark Mullins is not getting them out of here. This is what Pam Bondi, what's her name? Other Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem actually was trying to help get rid of some, believe it or not. I was no Kristi Noem fan, but she was actually doing a better job than even this guy was doing, even because Greg Bovino even said that. But the point is, they're not doing it, and they're covering it up. Now, look, don't get caught up with ICE, guys. ICE is a distraction for you guys. I want people to understand that. ICE is a distraction for the general public. Even J.J. Carroll, who played on this show, said they've only got 6,000 ICE agents. Now, they may have a little bit more of that now, but the point is only about 1,500 of those are on the street. 1,500. We have 100 million. Think about this. 100 million illegals in this country, guys. That's more than the population of most countries right now. Just think about this. If we got rid of 100 million people out of this country, the traffic wouldn't be so bad. You wouldn't be standing in line at Walmart or at the bank. Your bankings would be overloaded. None of this, the doctor's offices wouldn't be overloaded. You could actually get an appointment for something and not have to wait 3 months. Can you imagine getting rid of 100 million people out of this country that don't belong here, that aren't supposed to be here? The crime would actually go down. We would be down to 1,900 crime stats at that point. The murders would go down 125%. Every time I open the deadgum headlines, all I see is somebody in a vehicle or in a truck or in a car has hit and killed a family of 4 out of North Carolina or wherever that case is. We've done nothing to get rid of these illegals. And again, I don't want to hear the sorry excuse from the Anon saying, hey, he's just putting this Mark Mullins guy up there to expose him. We don't have time for that. We've got people, innocent men, women, and kids dying in the streets right now, literally, because he's refusing to do his job. Some people would say, Michelle, that this is dereliction of duty because the American people put him in to do a job, and he's derelict in his duty of not doing it right now. He answers to we the people, but he's not going to answer to that right now because of his arrogance and his pride. He has to hear from the American people, which is why I believe something's going to break loose up here in Dearborn at some point, or wherever it is, Dearborn, wherever, Michigan, wherever, it's going to break out at some point, and then it's going to be too late at that point when shots are fired, which is what I've been trying to alleviate and get him to act in the meantime. But he's too worried about poll numbers. He's too worried about listening to what Susie Wiles and all these people that are feeding him incorrect information is about. Now, having said that, I want people to understand something. I'm going to go down this rabbit hole right now because these illegals have to be gone. Every single one of them, including the Muslim invasion of America. Who allows that? I've heard people saying, well, he's General Patton's son. And there is a likeness to him and General Patton when you look at their pictures side by side. I'm thinking to myself, listen, Patton was one of my heroes because I go back to the European War Theater in World War II because that's where my family was from, in London, England. They were part of the Blitz. And so Patton, if Patton was his dad, he'd be rolling over in his grave of what Trump's doing right now, honestly. Because Patton, the second he got in office, on day one, he'd have had the Third Army on the road right now, rounding these jokers up. He'd have never allowed a Muslim invasion in this country. He would have never allowed what's going on in this country going on right now. And so the other thing is this. You cannot say that I am fighting, this is a war between good and evil, that this is a war between God and Satan, but yet you empower Satan. You can't do that. Now, let me explain what's going on here. If you go to Ephesians 6 in the Geneva Bible, this is not my revelation. This was someone else's revelation, pointed it out, and I picked it up and I'm running with it because I'm going to give credit to that person. I don't have his name, but I would give it credit to him. I want to go to Ephesians 6, verse 12. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against worldly governors, the princes of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness which are in high places. When you read the Geneva Bible, it takes on a whole nother meaning because it hasn't been tampered with. It says, or not to the point that we have right now. And it says, I'm going to get to the point. It says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against worldly governors. Politicians? Kind of takes on a whole new meaning right there now, doesn't it? And against spiritual princes of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness, which are in high places. They're on the thrones of leadership. This is why I have been screaming from the rooftops, why these prophetic words have said Trump has got to get away and stop playing games, that he thinks he can handle things spiritually with his IQ, surrounding himself with these demons like Susie Wiles and Kash Patel. Literal demons, guys. And now, what happens? I believe where Trump took the wrong turn was the vaccines. He listened to the wrong people. For gosh sakes, folks, he put a medal on Fauci's chest, hung it around his neck. You can't sit here and say, okay, Fauci's bad, Fauci's bad. Fauci is a distraction from who was responsible. The buck starts and stops with the president of the United States. This is where God's going to come down here now, guys. You better get ready. Okay, so you cannot say I'm fighting a fight with good versus evil, but you empower evil. You empower the vaccine. You say I'm the father of the vaccines. You say that it's a good thing to take the vaccine. How many people have lost their lives who trusted the president at his word, took the vaccine, who are now dead, dying, or sick, or going to die because of this? You know people, Michelle. I know people that have taken the vaccine based and took it at his word. Trust me when I tell you God's going to hold this man accountable, and it is not going to be good. And the other thing is you have to realize when he did that, he opened the door for a generational curse on his family because this is the largest human genocide, human sacrifice in human history was this vaccine. So when he did that, he opened up a generational curse on his family down to the third and fourth generation. When he did what he did with abortion out there with Kerry Lake in Arizona, I've brought this up before. He stepped in. They had it outlawed. literally outlawed. Him and Kerry Lake stepped in on the same day, did a press conference saying they need to redo it. They redid it. Now abortions are legal up to 15 weeks. That blood is on their hands. There's another generational curse. This poor guy, Barron Trump, doesn't have a chance right now. He's going to have to do some serious spiritual deliverance over what him and his mom. Let's get into his mom right now. His mom wrote a book 30 days before they got the election process. She endorsed LGBTQ. She came out and doubled down again, not even so much as a month ago, doubled down again when that Supreme Court ruling came down about the transgender. Let's talk about this for a second spiritually here, folks. This is the spiritual wickedness in high places right now that Trump's dealing with that is now affecting and influencing the decision-making for him and his family. His wife should have never gone public with that. If she felt that way, that's fine. But that is one of the most powerful female voices on the planet, Michelle. What did she do? She empowered homosexuality. She empowered transgender. And yes, pedo, she empowered that. Why did she empower that? Because the same spirit that operates in homosexuality and the transgender and the pedophile community is the same spirit of perversion. It doesn't make a distinction between the three. It operates in all three. When you endorse one, you endorse it all. You can't sit here and say that I'm saving the kids physically, but I'm going to kill them spiritually. You can't sit here and say this is a fight between good versus evil, but yet you're empowering evil. You can't cast out Satan with Satan. Now, I told people to get ready because God was going to come down on this stuff. So here's the problem. Here's the point. The point is, who did Don Jr. just marry? You just brought it up earlier. He married Epstein's banker's daughter. Who in the world would have thought? Now, when you see even Don Jr. has been interviewing Byron Donalds and with Illuminati symbolism on his podcast. I have a picture of it. I don't have it on here, but I have it. I can be glad to share it later on. The point is, you cannot empower evil and figure out I'm gonna fight for good. This is a fight good versus evil. God is not just a righteous God. He is a holy God. There is no darkness in him. You cannot ride the fence. There's no gray areas here. So by someone saying, I'm saving the kids, or I'm going to save America physically, but you're going to hand it over to its spiritual death, good luck, because it's not going to last long. This is why Trump is meeting so many, I believe, roadblocks right now. This is why it's affecting the decision-making. And if you notice, you can't figure out what's going on with the Trump family. They didn't act this way in the first term. They're all acting differently right now at this point. Even Laura Trump made a rap video with a Muslim rapper. What did she do? She empowered the Islamic spirit over America by joining forces with it. The very spirit we're trying to get rid of. This is why you can't do this. This is why they are spiritually, literally drowning the Trump family. It breaks my heart. All because of who Trump put around him, and he thought because of his pride and arrogance he can handle this with his IQ. You don't handle things in the spirit with your IQ. You handle spiritual things with spiritual anointing, period. Bottom line. So now, because of what the First Lady has done with LGBTQ and what Trump has done with the abortion stuff, with the vaccines, all of these things, Barron Trump's got a lot of deliverance he's going to have to do, unfortunately, because his kids down to the third and fourth generation are going to be affected right now at this point. And this is going to be a black stain on the Trump empire for all of eternity if they don't turn this around. They endorsed this stuff publicly. They announced it publicly. They're going to have to renounce it publicly, and they're going to have to repent publicly. It's going to take driving Trump to his knees, unfortunately, again, to get that to happen. He's going to have to take him to a very hard place in the road, God is, in order for him to do that, to drive him to his knees again.
All right, let's take a look at this video from Massachusetts. Many people have probably already seen this. It was from last week. It is where an abortion bill was signed there, and it is allowing abortion, not just in the first trimester, it's up to the day of birth. This is complete evil. Let's take a look. First of all, I'd like to know the names of all these women and what their positions are. because this tells us right there. And I want to go back. I want to go back to something. This
That's
reminds
spiritual.
me.
That's Ephesians 6. That's spiritual wickedness in high places.
It's happening under his leadership, and this is what's completely insane. But I want to go back to Pierre's mom and what she had said, that she thought that it got her censored or whatever earlier in the show about DeSantis posing as a Democrat. So I want to address that, because this is reminding me of this. I don't believe that any of these people are Republicans or Democrats. It's political theater. Mark and I have talked about political theater, the term, many times. That's what this is. It's theater. These people are not, there is no such thing. Even I've talked about this with Kathy O'Brien, the MK Ultra survivor, who has explained even about back in the late 80s, early 90s, where Daddy Bush told Bill Clinton, Bill, you got to be ready. She heard him say, you've got to be ready, because the American people are going to get tired of a Republican president, and they're going to want a Democrat, and you're up next. And so this is in her book. This is part of it. And she makes some other examples too of people that are married, siblings, all this different stuff. And how in the world, if there was truly different, differences, how could they be married? So the fact of the matter is, saying you're posing as one and you're really no, that's not really true. I don't believe DeSantis. And by the way, I've had conversations with people that cannot go public, that were trafficked in the state of Florida as children and things like that. And they tell me that DeSantis is knee deep in the trafficking, and DeSantis owns some trailer parks or something. He's got ownership in some kind of trailer parks, and there's supposedly a lot of trafficking that goes on in that. I've had many people tell me, and I've been down the DeSantis rabbit hole anyways about his background early on when I started the show. I did a whole show on that and talked about what I ended up finding and what all, no. I think he's setting himself up to run against J.D. Vance as president. I think that's what he's doing, a few good things in Florida. But whenever he gets the chance to really do something good and to hold the line, he keeps not doing it in Florida, just like with, backing Wilton Simpson and many other things. So with all that said, I think it's all craziness. And I want to know who these women are who are clapping and cheering for.
It's a covenant of witches. It's a covenant of witches.
My kids were both born at 34 weeks. They were tiny. They were 5 pounds apiece. Now they're 6 foot and 6'1". This is insanity that this is legal in the United States.
It's insanity that you have Muslim takeovers of entire cities right now.
It's evil.
Again, people want to throw the General Patton thing. General Patton would have never allowed this to go on that long. He'd had Third Army on the road within 24 hours, and all this stuff would have been cleaned up by now. Now, look, I want to go back to something here, because you cannot sit here. What he has done, he has taken a conservative movement, and what the Trumps have done have moved it farther left to center.
Yeah.
Because why was Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed to begin with? The very things that they're standing for and allowing is why Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed to begin with, guys. That's why this is so dangerous, is because he's listening to the wrong people. And he won't admit it. And so they're not conservative.
Okay, so I have a question. So how does anybody, this isn't even specific to President Trump. This is just, how does anybody think that this is in alignment with God and, our Holy Father? It's like, there's no way. There's no way.
You think he's going to endorse LGBTQ? No. Absolutely not. Look, Trump, the president allowed it, Michelle. He should have told his wife, sweetie, if you believe that way, that's fine. But don't go public with that garbage, because you're going to empower that spirit globally. Why do you think homosexuality is exploding? The transgender is exploding. Why we're having so many issues with the pedos is because people like her, powerful voices, have come out and endorsed it. The president never came out and renounced it. He could come out and say, well, that's my wife's views, but mine are not. I don't believe in that. He didn't say that. So therefore, his silence tells me that he supports it. Okay. This is the problem with what's going on right now. Again, somebody's got to get to him. Somebody's got to remove these people around him, and somebody's got to get to him spiritually. And the Paula Whites of the world are not going to do it. And as long as there's people like her and Susie Wiles around him, guys, I hate to say this, I'm not saying he can't change, because he could have a God moment, and nobody may never even know he had it. God may drive him to his knees in the middle of the night, and we may never know. And that's what I'm praying for, is for God to send an angel in a dream to him and to drive him to his knees to repentance and to do a 180 and start acting on the things and keeping his promises to the American people and get America first and get us back where we need to go. Because that's what we voted.
Cousin 77 says, yeah, there were a bunch of witches standing around all clapping to kill babies. It's so sad. It's insanity. These people need help. Yeah. This is way bigger than Democrat or Republican. It's witchcraft. It's evil.
We have to call it versus evil. And the problem is, again, the buck stops with the presidency. You cannot support evil and empower evil when you are trying to cast it out. You can't cast out Satan with Satan. Even Jesus himself said that. You can't partner with Satan and saying, I support LGBTQ, but yet you're going to kick out the transgenders out of sports. It doesn't work like that. It's the same spirit.
Did you have you seen anything that President Trump has tweeted addressing that this passed last week?
What passed?
About this abortion late term.
If he did, I didn't see it. I don't know.
Okay. I hadn't seen anything either, so that's why I was wondering. Rules PW says, I have lost 7 members of my family in the last 2.5 years. All have been vaccinated.
Yep. Guys, and let me put this warning out. You better be prepared for what's coming, because this is the largest pandemic right now, is the cancer pandemic, and it's going to be from the shots. They're killing our animals with the same mRNA shots. See, again, why haven't they taken off the mRNA off the market? They haven't done it. So why are they still out there? Why are we still vaccinating our pets? If you vaccinate your pet with an mRNA vaccine and the dog licks you or the cat licks you, guess what, guys? Anybody who does any work like me, I've got cuts on my hands all the time. You know, dog licks you, you just got vaccinated, or you got spike proteins, whatever. But none of this should be happening right now. All of this stuff should be getting cleaned up. And I go back to, we talked about this pre-interview. Now they're going after the ICC. The International Criminal Court. Trump and Rubio are. They're trying to discredit it and trying to take it down. I've been saying for a long time that they're going to come after Trump for crimes against humanity over this vaccine, because he didn't push it and make it mandatory. He pushed it from a marketing standpoint by saying it was a good thing. You and I both know that. It's out there. Too many interviews show that. And so now they're trying to discredit the ICC, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not saying it's not corrupt, because what court's not corrupt? We don't have any judiciary in this country that's not corrupt, or in the world for that matter. The point is, I think even Trump and his own people know he's in trouble, and now they're trying to take down the ICC before they can get anything on him. That's the way I see it.
Okay, interesting. Terry Blueberry says, my beautiful niece died from the vax a week ago today. Sorry, Terry, for your loss. She said she was only 43, and she has 4 kiddos without a mom now. And now my brother-in-law is fighting for his life due to complications from the injection too. Yeah. See, that's another thing. It's not, and by the way, I mean, there are children that are losing their lives, or, you know, having all different kinds of medical issues. And, and quite frankly, you know, it makes me sick. A lot of these, what I'm seeing on, I stopped getting on Facebook there for a while because I couldn't hardly take it. These people that are saying they're crunchy, these moms groups that been part of, these private moms groups calling themselves crunchy. And so what happens is a woman will say, I'm not going to, like, for example, one woman said, I'm never going to forgive my mother-in-law. She bullied me into getting the shots, the vaccines for my kid. And so, no, the mother-in-law wasn't even at the doctor's appointment. And so, and then you know what the comments are? The comments are, oh, we're so sorry. And, oh my gosh, I can't believe she did that. Yeah. No, you buckled. You buckled. You don't have a spine, and you just need to admit it, instead of playing the victim and then everybody else enabling you to play the victim. You had a child that you were sitting in the doctor's office with, and you didn't have a spine, and you could have just gotten up and walked out after you said to kiss your hind end, that you're not doing that. You're not playing that game with him or her. And so, but instead you buckled, and now you are passing the buck. And this is disgusting. Do you all realize what is going on? This is disgusting. So we don't need to enable it. We need to call it out as it is, like we're told to do in the Word of God. And we need to call it out, just calling out evil, calling out and not listening to that stuff. And people are enabling that talk. Another one in the Crunchy Moms group is I am looking at doing a delayed vaccine schedule. Okay. Well, today or tomorrow is still poison. I hate to be the one to break it to you.
Yep.
So you still sound stupid, you know? And so this is a mom who has a child who needs her to protect that child. You've been given these children to protect them. And what are you doing? And you're a part of a Crunchy Mom group. These women aren't even close to being crunchy. Like, I'm going to start a Crunchy Moms group, and we're going to have an IQ test, and we're going to have a questionnaire, and we're going to find out just exactly how crunchy someone is to be in the Crunchy Moms group, because this stuff is insanity. Okay. So that's why I wasn't on Facebook for a while.
Look, we're just going to pray for Trump right now for God to intervene at this point, because he's listening to the wrong people. He's not protecting Americans on American soil. He's very good at protecting Americans on foreign soil, but not on American soil right now. He's got an F, as far as I'm concerned, rating as far as that is concerned. Because, again, we have a lawless society, but when you hear him stand in front of the podium gaslighting people like this, saying, hey, it's safe to walk down the street, we're down to 1,900 stats, or 125%, who believes anything comes out of half of his administration right now? I believe nothing that comes out of Kash Patel's mouth. Absolutely nothing. I mean, Mr. Epstein's still alive, or didn't kill himself, whatever it was. So, I mean, again, you know, these are the people we're having to deal with right now. But again, Trump has to hear from the American people. That's the only way he's going to act, guys. He's a numbers guy. If he doesn't hear from you, he's not going to act on it.
Okay. All right. All right, Mark, any closing thoughts before we let you go?
Just pray for the president. I'm praying for because right now he's going down the road of Saul and Nebuchadnezzar right now. And I'm really, really getting concerned that God's going to step in. I think God's going to use him to get some stuff completed, but don't think for 1 second God can't remove him just as fast as he put him in there and hand it off to somebody else, hand the baton to somebody else, because he can. I believe everything in these prophetic words that God has given me. All Trump had to do was go in there, listen to the voice of God, follow God's path on what he had, and this stuff would have been over by now. His entire agenda was prophesied right here, right now. It's not going anywhere. It's still active. The word of God is still active, right? It's still active, still does things, right? Same thing with the prophetic word. It's still active. It's true Holy Spirit inspired. It's still active. All he has to do is do a 180, turn to the Lord, listen to what the Lord's telling him, and follow the path that God has set before him. And all of this stuff will turn around, guys. I'm just telling you. It's between him, and he needs to have that. He needs to have a Damascus Road experience is what he needs right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you for being here and sharing. Very interesting. Producer Ron, I told Producer Ron about the Crunchy Moms group, and he said it sounds more like they're crusty, not crunchy. And he just put crusty in the comments down here. So I see. I forgot about that. Peggy Sue says, my friend and her husband got the vax, and now he has cancer. I tried to tell them, but she walks in fear, so they ran out and got it. You know, Peggy Sue, I think so many people, so many tried. And that's why I think that that's what specifically points to a spiritual war. You know, it's spiritual. We all have been down that road where we've tried to help somebody, or more than one person, right? Where we've tried to help them. We tried to tell them. And I guess I kind of see it also like, well, Jesus wasn't able to be a prophet in his own land. And so sometimes your friends and your family just and neighbors and coworkers got to learn the hard way. And some will learn the hard way, and some it will be too late for them to be able to continue on in a healthy manner. They're going to learn the hard way, in a very hard way. It's so sad. It's awful. It's disgusting how many people should be in prison that aren't in prison. So it's very interesting. Okay, I have a couple more things I want you to see. So, you know, I've had Hope Beryl Green on before. She was the one that was born into the Illuminati, and she was even on Epstein Island. She was in some of the files that were released earlier this year. Her testimony, it was clearly her. It was very interesting. She always talks about good Jesus. And I thought this was interesting. Listen to this explanation about Muslim Jesus. And I think I finally really understand why she says like good Jesus And I've always thought, well, there's only one Jesus, but really listen to what's going on. Let's listen.
Do not put up with anyone who redefines Jesus Christ. Jesus defines Jesus. Tucker posted this, and it was the first time that made me go, hey, brother, where are we right now? He said, this is his tweet, the people in charge don't want you to know this, but Muslims love Jesus too. That was what Tucker tweeted. Now, I'm trying to help you evaluate these things because stuff like that gets real confusing. Okay, Muslims love Jesus too. What you need to know, in Islam, basically every major world religion, they have an understanding or interpretation of who Jesus was. Jesus Christ is basically the only religious world figure that every religion takes time to give an interpretation of who he was and he wasn't. So basically what they do is they redefine who Jesus was, and then they say, we love that Jesus. In Islam, they call Jesus the prophet Isa. That's what they call him. They believe he was not God. He was not crucified. He was not raised from the dead. He did not pay the penalty for our sins. He worships Allah. He preaches the Quran. He is a Muslim, and in the end, he will help violently oppose Christians in the Islamic eschatology in the end times. That is exactly what 2 Corinthians 11:4 warned against when it said this. It warned that false prophets would come that will, quote, preach to you a Jesus other than the Jesus we preach to you. And then he says about these Corinthians that are being demonically deceived, he says, when they preach to you another Jesus, in other words, they're redefining Jesus and getting you to accept a totally different demonic person just with the same name. He's saying, you put up with it readily enough. Can I say something to you, Christians? Do not put up with anyone who redefines Jesus Christ. Jesus defines Jesus as he has revealed himself in the written and infallible word of God. And listen to me, heaven and earth will pass away. Not one word of that book will ever pass away because it was written by Jesus Christ himself, the same yesterday, today, and forever.
That's so good. Okay, so I don't know. That sounds like maybe that's where that's coming from. I'm going to have to ask her. All right, the next one is I have one more video for you. I would say women, you need to listen to this. But really, men need to know about this too. So y'all listen, this was so good. Even producer Ron told me this morning what a great video this was to be the last video for today that I'd already sent him and he'd watched it. He said, that is such a great video. Well, here it is. Let's watch.
Every kingdom woman needs to watch this. Check this out.
I was scrolling through social media the other day and I heard a pastor say something. He said, when I studied the Bible, I noticed that when women cried out to God, God consistently responded. And I thought, Pastor, are you preaching or freestyling? So I went and looked it up myself. I realized that when Hannah prayed, God moved. Sarah believed, God moved. Esther fasted, God moved. The woman with the issue of blood reached for Jesus and God moved. So it was again and again and again in scripture. And then the Lord impressed something on my spirit. There is power in the vessel he created to carry life. Women don't just carry babies. Women carry families, generations, destinies, and prayers. That's why the enemy fights praying women so hard. He wants you distracted, offended, exhausted, focused on drama, focused on gossip, because he knows if he can silence your prayers, he can affect generations. But if he can't stop the prayer, he can't stop God's purpose. Women and men of God, I need you to hear me. Women, do not underestimate what happens when you open your mouth and pray. Your prayers are reaching places your feet may never go. Your prayers are protecting people you can't even see. Your prayers are breaking chains you didn't even know existed. And men, one of the greatest decisions you'll ever make is who stands beside you. Don't just find a woman who gets your attention. Find a woman who can get a prayer through. Don't just ask if she looks good. Ask if she knows how to talk to God. Don't just ask what she brings to the table. Ask if she can move heaven. Because there'll come a day when your money won't be enough. Your degrees, your titles, your connections, your looks, they won't be enough. You'll need someone beside you who knows how to call on God when hell shows up at your door. And ladies, let me challenge you. Pray for your children. Pray for your families, your communities, your church, your leaders. And yes, pray for your husband. And if you're divorced and you have kids, I want you to pray for your ex-husband. I know it's not easy, but your children benefit when their father's healed. Your children benefit when their father succeeds. Your children benefit when generational curses are broken. Because a powerful woman doesn't pray based on what somebody deserves. She prays based on what God can do. The enemy is terrified of a woman who knows how to pray. Because one praying woman can change a family, can change a bloodline, can change a generation. So don't quit praying. Because when a praying woman goes to war on her knees, generations win.
That's so good. Okay, I'm not gonna, Andrea Elliott, I'm not going to forget about the tetanus scam. I've got it, honey. All right, but before we get to that, I just wanted to chuckle here for a second with y'all. So I saw in the live chat on Rumble, Grammy said, I just picked up a religious exemption form from Vaxxes for a child for her children. It says the school staff was trying everything they could to get me to leave without the form. I got the form. Yeah, they didn't know what they were dealing with. I know enough about Grammy to know she's getting that form. Y'all wasting your time. Might as well just hold that breath. Okay, so that is so funny. Black Diamond says the Holy Spirit is in her. Talking about that woman. That's so good, isn't it? And did you hear that part about, and if you are divorced and you have children with that person, you should be praying for that daddy or that mama. That's so good. That's good stuff right there. That'll preach good. Connie says, wow, that was amazing. It was amazing. I loved it. It was very interesting. Okay, so the tetanus scam. Y'all know it just goes deep. It all goes so deep. It's so crazy. I mean, what's not a scam? Oh, and I'll tell you about my magnesium stuff in the last 2 weeks while I've been sick when we get back. So the tetanus scam, let's watch this video. It's so good.
A real one, tetanus. Yeah. Right? So tetanus vaccine, which is on the childhood vaccine schedule. I think it's 5 vaccines, several of them before 18 months. Well, you can't get tetanus in the United States. You'd need a army to try to find it. First of all, it's not transmissible. People often don't know that. And the number of tetanus deaths in the United States was 13 over 10 years. Wow. And it was all elderly people. And so your kid getting tetanus. Yeah, you get a sense this is the map you have in the book. Oh, there's the world. So everything orange on that map is less than 1 in a million. Yeah. And the only place you can get tetanus is you go to Central Africa. 22 countries in Europe, 0. Russia, 1 case. Central America and Central America and South America, 0 out of 100,000. Yeah. So the point is you can't find tetanus, right? And yet the 5 shots, you're right, like you're giving these kids something that the odds of their coming in contact with this thing you couldn't find, astronomical, right? And you certainly couldn't get all the diseases. Now I'll go real controversial for a minute. Right. In this book I look at each one of the diseases, because what's the question a parent should be asking? Are there any possible side effects from the intervention, the vaccine? Is my kid likely to get the disease? Right. Does the vaccine work? And is the disease really bad, right? Yeah. So if the disease is what they call every disease, they say it's fatal, right? Well, I want to tell you how many people on the planet Earth, all 8.5 billion people, died from polio last year. It is 0. Wow. 540 people on the planet Earth contracted polio last year. 94% of that was vaccine-induced poliomyelitis, right, meaning it comes from the vaccine. Yeah. So you're not allowed to say that is a true forbidden fact. Why? Because polio is the greatest killer of all time. No, it's not the greatest killer of all time. The biggest killer in the world today, in terms of an infectious disease, is the one we don't vaccinate for in America, tuberculosis. Yeah. That's the one vaccine we don't give in the United States. That actually has hundreds of thousands of deaths. But go figure why that's the one we don't give. But my broad... Well, I mean, you allude to the fact that there are many studies showing a beneficial
has some beneficial, unexpected benefits
Yes, the
beyond.
BCG vaccine is far and away the best vaccine product there is. It's 100 years old. It's given in almost every country in the world but the United States. And it has all kinds of other benefits, reducing cancer of the bladder, reducing other respiratory diseases. And yet that's the one we don't give. And
No goodness. So of course we get the shot that we don't need, and then you don't get the shots that you do need. You see how it goes. And I made a post, I did an X post or whatever you want to call it, a tweet, Twitter. And I guess it was this morning, and I just said, make no mistake, they know. They knew ivermectin worked. They knew hydroxychloroquine worked. That's why they demonized it. They knew the remdesivir would drown people in their own fluids. That's why they pushed it and made it part of the hospital protocol. They know. What part are you not getting? They know. These are the people that tell you they're all about depopulation. Who do you think they're trying to depopulate? And so it's insane. Let's see, Deborah Wood, I got mine on, honey. I see where you're talking about the Wave Watch. I got mine on. And so, yeah, I highly recommend it. And so the testimonials that we've received through the years of talking about and helping people know and learn about the Wave Watch and get their hands on one has been just absolutely amazing. I can't tell you how many times I sat on the phone with Linda Bamber, the creator, reading testimonials and crying together, especially in the early days. Okay. Pierre's mom one says, I used to like Tucker Carlson. Okay. Let's talk about the Tucker Carlson thing. A lot of people don't know. So there's a lot to unpack about the Tucker Carlson stuff. The first thing is Tucker Carlson's daddy used to run King World. King World is who made Oprah. That's the first problem. Tucker Carlson tried to get it on with the CIA, like, I don't know, what's the Vanderbilt guy, Andrew, whatever his name is, Cooper Anderson. And so, look, Fox is in deep, just like all the others. And so he worked at Fox. See where I'm going with this? There ain't nothing good about Tucker Carlson. And there's nothing. And by the way, that video a minute ago, I know that you saw that. That's probably what brought it up. It was Tucker saying, well, the Muslims love Jesus too. Yeah, that's a big old fat red flag. So Tucker needs to go back to school. And I find it hard to believe that Tucker doesn't know the truth. And so why would he be misleading people? I just find it hard to believe. Okay. All right. I told you I was going to tell you about the magnesium. So I'm going to tell you this, and then we're going to go because it's ended up being a long show. So, I've had an allergic reaction. I've been at home. And so I was at home healing and was sleeping a lot the first few days and was not in good shape at all from the allergic reaction. And then I was fine. I had plenty of energy. And so I'm going to share some stories tomorrow of some things that I worked on and tell you some of the things that happened and shockers and stuff, and give you some nitty gritty behind the scenes stuff that happens dealing with some of these organizations that paint themselves as good. And then as somebody who owns a company, which is Godly Granny, I end up dealing with people in ways that you're like, didn't see coming. And so I'm going to share some of that tomorrow after I share my 11 incredible God stories. But anyway, so I've been taking magnesium. It's the magnesium boost, and I do the day focus or the stress relief. I took the stress relief in the beginning. And so I've been doing this for about a year now, really, 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 really consistent, like absolutely consistent. Well, when you know how it is, when you get your schedule messed up, things aren't always the same. And so I wasn't getting dressed. I was living in my pajamas. And so I would put my magnesium on my feet at the time that I would put my shoes and socks on. Okay. So I wouldn't put shoes and socks on. And if I went in the car to go to the granny shack, like last week, I went real quick to drop some things off and then get back home while I was still healing. I was in my pajamas in my flip-flops, and I don't put the magnesium cream on until I put sneakers and socks on or whatever. So I didn't realize it, but I hadn't taken my magnesium because I don't take it in that night because I don't have any trouble sleeping. And I was doing so great. And remember my testimony about my left eye not twitching anymore and how I don't have hot flashes. And I've just been doing so great, right? And so it was about 2 weeks of not putting on the magnesium cream, but maybe once or twice at the most. And so what happened is I woke up Saturday morning early, like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was having a hot flash. And I was like, and that's when it hit me. Wait a minute, something's very wrong. And so even though you don't really hear people say, I've not really had anybody else report that they've quit having hot flashes because since they're on magnesium, I just know I have. And so, and I don't crave sugar. I don't want anything sweet. And so I haven't had anything really sweet in I don't even know how long. And so months. Okay. So anyways, and so I get up Saturday and I start having trouble with my left eye twitching. I don't think about it at first, but then later in the day, it got worse and worse. And I'm like, holy moly, this is, I haven't been taking my magnesium. And so I'm on my magnesium again as of yesterday and today and Saturday evening. But I just wanted to tell you about that. So it took about 2 weeks. I haven't been eating bread and a lot of different things that, eats away at your magnesium. But I'm kind of proud of myself. I told Eva about it last night, and I told her, I said, I'm really kind of proud of myself. It took almost 2 whole weeks of no magnesium. Like I built that much up in my system. But you have to realize that there are different things that can eat away at your magnesium, just like with bread and stuff. So depending on what kind of bread you're eating. But I just wanted you to know the same thing. We were talking about panic attacks, and we were talking about that and how a lot of times people can put magnesium on their panic attack will kind of those symptoms will calm down, and then a few minutes later it will start back up. It's because the magnesium's being depleted and they have to reapply sometimes 3 or 4 times before they can get things under control. And so because whatever's going on with that, even, it's very interesting how our body is. But I have been very interested to see how my body has reacted to all of this, and just it's crazy. And so, and just magnesium creams are the way to go for me. It has absolutely, so even since I've started back, I have had no eye twitching, no hot flashes, just the one. Ladies, there's the last thing I want's a hot flash. And my eye is perfectly fine and not twitching anymore. So I'm back to normal. Thank goodness. Praise God for magnesium creams and Godly Granny. Oh my goodness. And so, and if you don't know, I got to tell you, magnesium has a whole list of things. It's one of the most important minerals that you can get. And so Rhonda says, I take magnesium every day. Yes. And so I do too, but I take it as a cream. And so it's so important. I love it. But anyways, I hope that helps you. Okay. So don't forget, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to share 11 incredible God stories and really the stories behind those and those testimonies and some insider stuff to what's been going on and way things work behind the scenes. All right. I'll see you right here next time on the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
Ever read the ingredients on your everyday products and think, wait, is this shampoo or a science experiment? If your lotion needs a translator, a lab coat, and a warning label, it might be time for a change. Godly Granny products are made with purpose, love, and ingredients you can actually recognize. No mystery chemicals, no toxins, just clean, simple goodness. The way Granny would have wanted, because your skincare shouldn't require a chemistry degree. From shampoo, lotion, skincare, and all natural health remedies, Godly Granny has everything your family needs. It's no wonder we have over 1,200 5-star reviews from our amazing customers to prove it. Join the families just like yours who've switched to Godly Granny. Visit godlygranny.com and sign up for our emails to receive a special discount code for 10% off your first order, plus exclusive updates and information on newly released products.
Universal Coin and Bullion is my partner for gold, silver, rare coins, and precious metal IRAs. For over 30 years, they've helped more than 500,000 customers and completed over $2.6 billion in precious metals transactions. They're offering callers 2 1-ounce American Silver Eagles and a 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle at actual dealer cost. Call Universal Coin and Bullion today.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.